caught my wife with 2 men, destroyed everything, and took my revenge. Hi everyone, I'm 33. Before I get into my story, let me ask you this. What would you do if you walked in on your wife, someone you completely trusted, with 2 men in your marital bed? I met my wife, Tracy, 29, at the movies. I went to a film premiere with my friends, and she was there with her girls. That day, there was a spark between us, and soon we started dating. We were together for a year before we got married. What began as a simple friendship turned into the saddest love story of my life. At the beginning of our marriage, it felt like marrying Tracy was a blessing. We were happy together, and I did everything I could as a man and husband to support her dreams and inspire her to grow. The first 2 years were solid. Tracy was kind, caring, and smart. I'd say she was everything I ever dreamed of in a woman: an amazing cook, great personality, refined character, and most of all, she was honest. Her honesty was what I valued most. Tracy worked at a diner, and I was a graphic designer at a company that handled banners, billboards, design, and more. We both made decent money, but I covered most of the household expenses since Tracy spent her income chasing her dream. Before we got married, she told me she'd always dreamed of being an actress, but her parents never supported that path. They insisted she study something else in college, thinking acting wasn't a respectable profession. When Tracy shared her dream with me and asked if I'd be okay with her giving it a real shot, I supported her. I hadn't become what I once dreamed of either, so I understood what it meant to crave something deeply but not have the chance to pursue it. I supported her joining drama clubs, taking volunteer roles, and working on small projects that might get her closer to her dream. We even planned for her to go to acting school once we saved enough money. I supported her because she truly had talent. Aside from being moody and dramatic at times, she was a natural performer. Before we met, she'd already taken a couple of courses and watched probably 1,000 YouTube videos about acting. That told me she was serious, and I didn't want to be the person who crushed her dream. We put off having kids because of her plans to attend acting school. We figured we'd start a family once she graduated and hopefully landed roles in plays or even films. I think I was the one who pushed her the most to participate in productions and projects so she could show the world her talent and land bigger roles. I did everything for her success. I only wanted the best for her. When Tracy asked if I was okay with her continuing to pursue an acting career, we were still in the first year of our marriage, and everything between us was perfect. We never argued or fought seriously. She was like a sweet peach, respectful and loving. During the first year, Tracy constantly applied online for various volunteer roles, but kept getting rejected. At one point, she grew tired of the rejections and decided to focus on her new job instead. But I kept encouraging her not to give up. Fortunately, a few months after our first anniversary, she got a response to one of her applications. She was invited to audition for a stage production that was casting new actors. Tracy was over the moon when she found out, and I was genuinely happy for her. A nice bonus was that the auditions were happening right in our city, and she had plenty of time to prepare. On the day of the audition, Tracy nailed it and got cast. She was glowing with joy when she told me. Another plus was that the actors were being paid, and rehearsals mostly took place on weekends. I didn't expect Tracy to change so much after rehearsals began. For the first few weeks, everything was normal. We talked, lived our usual lives. The only difference was we spent less time together on weekends because she was busy rehearsing. She'd wake up, clean, cook, go to rehearsal, and return late at night. I didn't like the change, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin her first real chance. Besides, they were paying her more on weekends than she earned in a whole week. Over time, a distance started to grow between us. To keep myself occupied on weekends, I played video games, hung out with friends, or invited them over. I'd known these friends since school and college, so I trusted them. When I told them about Tracy's acting and how much time she was spending on it, one of my friends, Eric, warned me to keep an eye on her. He said there were rumors that some actresses sleep with directors to get roles. I ignored his comment and assured them that Tracy wasn't like that. She wouldn't sleep with anyone for a part because she was very talented. Fool? Yeah. After that, they didn't bring it up again, just repeated that I should keep a closer eye on her, since aspiring actors like Tracy often fall into temptation. I didn't take their words seriously. I was 100% sure Tracy would never do anything to hurt me or destroy our happy marriage. But despite brushing it off, what they said stuck in my mind, and I started asking Tracy subtle questions. When she noticed I was acting differently, she began complaining about my questions and how I was treating her. I had to apologize and tell her exactly what my friend said. When I told her, she just laughed and said she could never cheat on me because she loved me too much. In her words, "You're the best husband in the world, and only a stupid, ungrateful woman would cheat on you." Those words gave me peace of mind. I was sure Tracy would never cheat. Too bad I didn't know then. She was just doing what she did best. Acting. She had already started cheating before that conversation even happened. In the following week, Tracy became completely different. It's hard to describe in words. Our conversations became strained, and the excitement she used to have when coming home was gone. Before, she was like a kid. She'd come home and tell me everything that happened during rehearsals. Even though I'd never been there, I knew all the names of the people she rehearsed with, what they looked like, what their personalities were. That's how open Tracy had always been. We were that close. I always looked forward to her weekend stories. But all of that suddenly stopped. On top of becoming distant, Tracy grew very defensive. She'd get offended at nearly everything I said, even old jokes that used to make her laugh. Now she took them as personal attacks. Then she changed her wardrobe. She started wearing dresses that she put on only for rehearsals, and they were quite revealing. I voiced my concerns a few times, but she didn't listen. She said it was just fashion, and that I didn't understand anything about it. Back then, I thought she was just trying to keep up with the other actresses who dressed flashier. I knew she loved to compete in style, so cheating was the last thing on my mind. But suspicion started creeping in when she began changing her hairstyle every week and constantly talked on the phone with some man she introduced to me as her stage partner. One day, she did something that really pissed me off. When I confronted her about it, she screamed at me and stormed out. It was the first time she had ever acted that way, and I immediately knew I had to do something. Later that evening, when my friends came over, I talked to them about it, and they said it was obvious Tracy was definitely cheating on me. Despite all the signs and changes, I couldn't believe it. I had done so much for her. I argued with my friends that maybe Tracy was just going through a rough patch and taking her stress out on me. But they insisted I was blinded by love and told me that if I really wanted the truth, I should hire a private investigator. I didn't like the idea of someone spying on Tracy, but because of how drastically her behavior had changed, I agreed. The next week, I found a detective online and hired him to follow her for 7 days. On the third day of surveillance, Tracy didn't come home after rehearsal. The next day, she said she had gone to a birthday party for one of the actresses at a club and spent the night in a nearby hotel because it was safer than driving home late. The weirdest part? She never told me about that party. I called her until 3 a.m. When she finally picked up, she said she hadn't heard the phone ring because of the loud music. Later, she lied and said she'd told me about the party, but I just didn't listen. I suspected she was lying, but I knew the truth would come out soon. After all, The detective was watching her all week. I hadn't heard anything from him for a few days, and when he finally contacted me, I was visiting my parents in another city. I was already on my way back when he said he had something to show me. Instead of going home, I went straight to him. Tracy didn't know I was coming back that day. I told her the night before that I wouldn't return until Monday morning because I wanted to spend more time with my parents. But in reality, I returned on Saturday. When I met with the detective, he showed me evidence that shattered me. Photos and videos of Tracy with some blonde guy, her lover. There were pictures of them kissing in a car, shopping, dining together, and even video from the very night she claimed she was at that birthday party. The video clearly showed her with that man all night. They went to a club and left around 10 p.m. to go to his place, where she spent the night. That meant one thing: she saw my calls and deliberately ignored them. I was in complete shock that Tracy had cheated on me. She had seemed like someone I could build a future with, but she destroyed everything. After the detective showed me the evidence, he added that he'd followed her that same evening and that she was currently at my house with her lover. He had just stepped away to call me. I was so furious I wanted to smash everything around me. I was too angry to drive, so the detective drove me home himself. When we pulled up, I saw a blue Toyota Venza in the driveway, the same car from the photos and videos. I knew Tracy was inside with him. The detective offered to go in with me, and I don't even remember if I agreed. The next thing I remember, I was in the house, opened the bedroom door, and saw Tracy with two men right in the middle of it. I lost it and didn't know who to attack first. Tracy was wearing sheer silk lingerie. Her hands were cuffed to the bed. When they saw me, they tried to get up, but the handcuffs held them back. I lunged at the blonde guy, while the other one grabbed his clothes and ran like a rat. Thankfully, the detective had come in with me and stopped me from killing someone. Tracy was still cuffed to the bed, already begging me. She said I misunderstood everything, and that they were just rehearsing a scene from the play. Her dumb excuse made me even angrier, and I wanted to strangle her right then and there, but instead I just walked out of the room and told her she better be gone from the house by the time I got back. The detective told me he'd recorded everything on video and handed it over to me. I didn't know what to do with that footage, but I took it anyway. That night, I stayed at a friend's place. I felt so ashamed. He'd been right all along about Tracy and her new acting career. But the most painful part was that she had a threesome right in our bedroom, in our bed. When I came back the next morning, Tracy was still in the house. She didn't go to rehearsal, probably realizing what she'd done. When I saw her, rage consumed me, and I threw her out, tossing her things onto the lawn. She begged me, said I was making a mistake and needed to give her a chance to explain. She stood outside for nearly an hour, yelling my name, pleading for me to let her back in. But when the fake remorse didn't work, she flipped, started insulting me, calling me names, and eventually left. This all happened last week, and I'm only now able to talk about it because I haven't been able to process it since that day. I still don't understand how it all happened right under my nose. I wasn't some controlling husband who tracked her every move. We split the bills. She did most of the housework, and I always kept my emotions in check and never made scenes. I say this because I've read stories about men who ignore red flags. Looking back now, I realize I should have started digging when the communication between us died and she suddenly changed her wardrobe. But is that really what marriage is supposed to be? Start suspecting your partner the moment they buy new clothes or stop talking to you because they're tired from work? I don't think so. What irritates me most is that since then she hasn't stopped calling me. I keep thinking about revenge and want to show the video to her director. First update. Hey everyone, thanks for your comments. I'm glad you don't think my actions were over the top. Someone said, I should find out who the second guy in the video was, and I did. Turns out he's now dating Tracy's director. The director is gay. I can only imagine how furious he'll be when he finds out Tracy seduced his boyfriend. Speaking of Tracy, she came by 3 days ago looking terrible, all puffy from crying miserable. Unfortunately for her, I had friends over at the time. They didn't say anything to her, but their looks and body language pissed her off. What really got to her was the fact I was just sitting there with my friends ignoring her. She screamed, "Really, Mike? You're going to let your friends treat your wife like this over some petty fight between us?" Tracy kept begging for forgiveness out on the porch. I stayed inside listening. But when she shamelessly threw out that line, I flew out the door ready to let her have it. A friend stopped me just in time. I was so angry I could have done something I'd regret, and if I was going to get arrested, I wanted it to be worth it. Before she left, Tracy made a scene, talking about our promises and how I swore we'd grow old together. I was boiling inside, but couldn't bring myself to respond even if I wanted to. After a while, with no reaction from me, she asked about the theater academy I promised to pay for. I wanted to say, "Go get support from your lover now," but I just stayed silent because I wanted her gone. In the end, she walked away with her head down. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. As soon as the papers are ready, he'll send them to her for signing. As for revenge, I'll do what many of you suggested. I know the video might not destroy her career immediately, but it'll definitely ruin everything she's worked on these past few months. The fact that Tracy slept with her director's boyfriend just made me even more determined. Thanks to everyone. More updates coming soon. Second update, hey again. I'm writing this update with real excitement because things turned out even worse for Tracy than I expected after the last post. It took me 2 weeks to track down her director online, and I did. He's just starting out in the film industry as a director, but already shows a lot of promise. We arranged a meeting, and he actually showed up. He got curious when I said I wanted to show him something related to his partner and an actress. That day I didn't waste any time. We exchanged a couple of polite phrases, and I immediately showed him the video of his boyfriend, the blonde guy, and Tracy. He was so disappointed and devastated that he started crying. No joke. He admitted he'd suspected his boyfriend was messing around with someone from the cast, but had no proof. He also said that the guy had cheated on him once before, but he forgave him because he swore it happened under the influence of alcohol. Honestly, I didn't care much about that. I was more interested in what the director would do to Tracy and her lover. When I asked him, he said he hadn't decided yet. I told him it would be weak to just let them go, especially after Tracy betrayed him like that. Long story short, he fired both Tracy and the blonde guy. I don't know if he broke up with his boyfriend, but Tracy was definitely left with nothing. When she got fired, I felt real satisfaction watching the results of all her hard work crumble into dust. I wanted her to know what it felt like to give something your all, and then lose it all because of someone else. By the time she got fired, the divorce papers were ready and my lawyer had already sent them to her. On the day she received them, Tracy called me and begged me not to destroy everything we built over the years. I told her she destroyed it the moment she started thinking about cheating. I also told her that it was me who showed the video to the director, effectively ending months of her effort. I knew she'd flip, and she did. She accused me of being jealous and said I just couldn't handle the fact that she had the courage to chase her dreams while I didn't. I just laughed because I realized she was trying to twist everything to her advantage, and I hung up. 2 weeks ago she signed the papers, and now I'm writing this update as a divorced man. Yes, it hurts, but I'm glad she's no longer in my life. Thanks to everyone for your comments and support. So, tell me your thoughts on this story in the comments. Do you think this kind of behavior is ever acceptable when someone works in a creative profession? Yeah. I know most people will say of course not. It's absolutely unacceptable. But think about it. Creative work is tied to the need for inspiration. And often, people find that inspiration through new romances. And all the related stuff. Like how can an actress truly portray betrayal without betraying? How can she feel infidelity without being unfaithful? How can she discover new passion without having a new object of passion? Anyway, I can already feel some of you burning me at the stake, so let's move on to the next story. I found out that my wife is cheating on me. I don't know what to do. Let me start with the background. My wife is 34, I'm 36, and we've been together for almost 17 years. We have 3 kids and an old house we've been slowly renovating for the past 2 years. Our finances are tight. We have no savings and a pile of debt. She's the only woman I've ever been with. Before me, she only had a couple of relationships, so when we met, neither of us had much experience. She was the light of my life, and we went through a lot together, always supporting one another. I thought we were one of those rare couples who stay together no matter what. Turns out I was wrong. Amid all the chaos, renovating the house, working full-time, constantly trying to make ends meet, and raising kids, we kind of lost ourselves. Financial strain and health issues only made things worse. She'd been trying to lose weight for a long time without success, and her self-esteem was in the gutter. We were both depressed, but instead of talking and comforting each other, we shut down. I dove into computer games, and she was glued to her phone. Things got worse in the spring and summer. She started spending more time with her friends and going to parties while I stayed home with the kids. I thought that letting her blow off steam would help her come back in a better mood, but it didn't work. I tried to ignore the growing bad feeling I had. Then I heard a rumor that she had been seen kissing some guy at a dance in a nearby town. I asked her about it directly, but she denied everything and said the guy came onto her, and she pushed him away. I didn't fully believe her, but didn't want to push. I tried to show her I trusted her. But then, I noticed she was getting more secretive and fiercely guarding her phone. In August 2022, I accidentally saw her Facebook password and decided to check if I could find anything about that dance. What I found was much worse. Yes, she had kissed some guy while completely drunk until her friend stopped her. But that was nothing compared to what came next. I checked her messenger and saw she had been chatting for several months with 2 foreign guys. Let's call them A and B. It started on Instagram when a random guy, A, complimented her and they started talking on Skype. Within a couple of weeks, she was already sending him nudes, though at first she hesitated. The kiss incident happened a bit later that same month while she was still chatting with him. By mid-August, he revealed his true intentions. It turned out he was a scammer using someone else's stolen profile and sending fake pictures. But she was so fooled that she sent him her most intimate photos anyway. It seemed like she was in love with him. By then, she had already started chatting with the second guy, B. That also escalated to nudes and explicit conversations. In both cases, they fantasized together about visiting our country and meeting her at a hotel. My wife never said bad things about me. She'd say I was just there. If they asked about me, she'd reply that I treated her well, but then add how good it felt to talk to them, how they made her feel special. But the worst was yet to come. In a chat with one of her friends, I found something even more disturbing. In early July, they went together to a 2-day festival in a nearby town and stayed in a rented apartment. I gave my blessing, not suspecting anything bad. I knew her friend sometimes had panic attacks, and that she ended up in a local hospital that night. But what I didn't know, and learned from their messages, was that my wife met a 41-year-old man from our town. Let's call him G. He was married with kids and in an unhappy relationship. They talked, and he tried to get her into bed, but as she told her friend, she stopped him. She didn't mention me, but our town is small, and I quickly figured out who it might be. I even found a message on her phone to a number that appears to belong to him, and I have a very bad feeling about it. I didn't tell my wife that I had found everything out. I was afraid something unpredictable might happen in front of the kids. So I put on a mask of indifference and waited until Saturday, August 24th, to talk to her. I asked my mom to look after the children. My wife is currently studying to get some kind of qualification for work. When she came back after her classes, I calmly asked her to sit down and told her I knew everything. There were no screams, no insults, no violence, just two sad people, one of them deeply hurt. We talked all night. She swore that nothing had happened between her and G, and that everything online was just her trying to boost her self-esteem. She thought I no longer loved her. She didn't blame me or get angry that I had read through her messages. She said she believed I didn't love her anymore because she couldn't lose weight. And when those guys started showering her with compliments, she got hooked. She admitted that she didn't want to hurt me, but acted selfishly, just trying to keep getting attention and compliments from them. That's why she sent those nudes. She said that now she understands it was cheating, but at the time, she didn't grasp the full weight of her actions, even though she knew it was wrong. I wanted to believe her. I really did, but I couldn't shake my doubts. We decided to try to fix things and went to a couples therapist. As the weeks passed, it seemed like things were improving. She became much more affectionate and caring. Our intimacy was great again. We spent more time together. But I still had a sinking feeling that she was hiding something. And then, after our second session with the therapist last week, she finally admitted what I had feared and secretly suspected all along. Yes, she really did sleep with G that night in July. She said she felt guilt and shame afterward, but still continued talking to him online. She admitted that after that night, she met with him 2 more times, but it didn't go beyond kissing. Even worse, she had tried to contact him again just days after I first confronted her in August. My initial reaction was numbness. I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't lay a finger on her. In part, I even felt a strange relief that she had finally confessed to what I suspected. But at the same time, something inside me broke in a way worse than any humiliation. I didn't tell my wife I had found out everything. I was afraid something unpredictable might happen in front of the kids. So I put on a mask of indifference and waited until Saturday, August 24th, to talk to her. I asked my mom to watch the kids. My wife is studying now, getting some kind of qualification for work. When she got back from class, I calmly asked her to sit down and told her I knew everything. There was no shouting, no insults, no violence. Just 2 sad people, one of them wounded beyond words. We talked all night. She swore nothing happened between her and G, and everything online was just an attempt to boost her self-esteem. She said she thought I didn't love her anymore. She didn't blame me or get mad that I went through her messages. She said she thought, he doesn't love me anymore since I can't lose weight. And when those guys started showering her with compliments, she got hooked. She admitted she didn't mean to hurt me. She was just selfish, trying to please those people so they'd keep saying nice things to her. That's why she sent them nudes. She said she realizes now that it was cheating, but at the time, she didn't fully grasp the scale of what she was doing, though she knew it was wrong. I wanted to believe her. I really did, but the doubts wouldn't let go. We decided to try to fix things and started seeing a marriage counselor. As the weeks went by, it seemed like things were getting better. She became much more affectionate and caring. Our intimacy got better again. We started spending more time together. But I still had that gut feeling she was hiding something. And after our second therapy session last week, she finally confessed what I had feared and deep down already suspected. Yes, she did sleep with G that night in July. She said she felt guilty and ashamed afterward, but still kept messaging him on social media. She admitted that she met up with him 2 more times, but they didn't go beyond kissing. What's worse, she even tried to contact him again a few days after I first confronted her in August. My initial reaction was shock. I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't lay a finger on her. Part of me actually felt relieved that she finally admitted what I had suspected. But at the same time, something inside me broke, something worse than humiliation. I was crushed with pain. I didn't want to make any rash decisions, which is why I haven't thrown her ring in her face or gone after that guy. I don't want to be the guy who exposes him to his wife or ends up in jail for assault. After all, he didn't break our marriage vows. My wife did. I don't know what to believe anymore. The woman I knew, or thought I knew, would never do this. She's trying to convince me that she was just being stupid and selfish, and that she's deeply ashamed of how she hurt me. She says she'll do anything to earn back my trust and be worthy of me again. But honestly, I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust her again or look at her the same way. Yes, I still love her. I still like being around her, seeing her smile. But every time I do, something tightens in my chest. I want things to work out for the sake of our kids and our messed up financial situation. We just can't afford a divorce. But I'm afraid that staying in this will make me lose myself and my self-respect forever. How the hell do you forgive your wife for cheating not with 1, not with 2, but 3 men, and if you count that random guy she kissed, it's actually 4. She cheated not just physically but emotionally too. And it went on for a while. It wasn't some drunken mistake. Even if 2 of those affairs were online, she was still planning to meet them, knowing full well what that would lead to. Has anyone else been through something like this? Do you have any solid advice? I know it's easy to say, just divorce her and move on. But it's not that simple. I still have feelings for her. I don't know how it will affect the kids, our families. I'm also afraid that if I file for divorce and her family and friends find out the truth, she might hurt herself. We still have an unfinished house and no savings. We at least need to finish the renovations so we can sell the house and get some money. Now, an update. After many of your comments and talking to close friends, I finally gained the confidence to believe in myself. I opened my eyes to what I had been feeling inside for a long time. I had no real chance of surviving what my wife did to me. So last Thursday, I told her I wanted a divorce. I think she saw it coming, because she didn't seem too surprised. She didn't even try to talk me out of it, just kept repeating like a broken record, "Nothing I say will change anything." When I asked her to say something, she just cried. She ended up taking sick leave from work. Since then, we've started telling close friends and family about the upcoming divorce. But she's desperately avoiding telling her parents about the cheating. My mom knows everything, but for some reason I agreed not to tell her parents just yet. Maybe I'm afraid it will cause a full-blown war between me and my soon-to-be ex, so I gave her time to tell them herself. Last Sunday, we met with her parents and told them we're divorcing. But since we had to leave our 2 kids with them for 3 days because of school break, it didn't seem like the right time to dump the truth about their daughter's infidelity on them. Instead, we said we had irreconcilable differences. It was really hard to say that because her parents looked so disappointed. These people have been a part of my life for nearly 17 years. I truly respect them. They always supported us, financially and just by spending time with the kids. I really hated lying to them, but I'm afraid if I tell them everything, my wife will get angry and the divorce process will become even more difficult. But my patience isn't endless. If she doesn't tell them herself soon, I will. I also don't want the real reasons for the divorce to become public, because we live in a small town, and the truth will eventually get back to our kids. Then they might become targets for bullying. I'd rather the truth stay within our closest circle and the official story be something like, "We just grew apart." Also, I don't want to be known as that poor guy whose wife cheated on him. There are still a lot of unresolved issues. We need to sell the house and find our own apartments. Custody will be joint, 1 week with me, 1 with her. I have no idea how it'll all turn out, but in our country, the courts usually side with the mother. Still, I will fight for my kids. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching or listening to this story all the way through. Check out our previous video, which you can see right here. And good luck to you all.